indeed a very opportune moment when we are talking about two key aspects of our economy, right? The first one is obviously MSMEs and the digital transformation. Since 2019 end, it's very difficult to go into a meeting and not talk about digital transformation. That's what our lives have all become, right? And I'm pretty sure my panelists will echo that thoughts, that walking into a meeting and not talking about whether it's a cloud, whether it's AI, ML, chat, GPT, whatever. You know, the meeting takes, everybody's talking about all of this because this is the reality. And what we are trying to do here is look at how does this entire piece impact MSMEs, how can their growth be fastened, and they leapfrog into the large corporate segment because of digital transformation. Obviously, by also looking at key things like data security, data privacy, there's the new data protection bill that's been passed on 11th of August. How does all that play a key role? And if I have to look at digital transformation, what are the technologies that I should look at, right? Should I follow technologies that everybody else is doing? Should I make my own roadmap? What is the government doing in this? We'll probably give all of this a thought. Let me start by, probably taking just initial comments from my fellow panelists. Shrut Kirti, your initial comments, please.
Hi, am I audible to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. So hi, everybody. I'm Shrut Kirti, and like Jaspreet mentioned, this is a very pivotal moment in the Indian economy specifically because we have seen the Indian economy get accelerated by multifold in the last 10 years, particularly after COVID. And sometimes macro factors are very critical in propelling an economy forward. And I believe that while COVID was a very difficult and tough time for India, post that, the acceleration that we have seen in digital businesses, the acceleration that we have seen in small businesses adopting and embracing technology to further move their business upwards has been tremendous. I will definitely add some more comments around what are the technologies that we are seeing as an organization adopt by MSMEs. But my initial thoughts are that this is a golden opportunity for the Indian economy to move forward.
Superb. So you've mentioned this is a golden opportunity for this to move forward, right? We'll take a note of that. Anay, your initial thoughts, please.
I hope I'm audible. Yeah. So I think there is an accelerated digital transformation which is happening after the pandemic, right? I mean, I'm talking about a very simple example. My daughter, how would she attend school? And it was out of syllabus for the EdTech, right? Because they were not prepared for the online classes, right? And something when it is out of syllabus for the industry as well, there were not enough devices to cater to work from home, right? So when pandemic kicked in, right, everyone has to answer this out of syllabus question which came. And everyone has to provide an answer to it, right? In a manner that the business can run, right? So MSMEs who were planning to go into a digital transformation approach by 2025 have transformed in 2022 itself, right? So that is where the effect have come in. And the cost of compute obviously is going down, right? So the data analytics can happen now in a much better way, the way it is happening, right? So that is where we see at Dell, probably there's a lot of technology factors which we are adding to, but everything has gone into an accelerated mode just because the things have changed drastically.
Thank you, and I think very interesting comments. What's the largest university in the world? Anybody? So probably the largest university that at least I know of is WhatsApp University. And there's a message floating around on WhatsApp saying, what's the biggest propellant of digital transformation in India? The answer was COVID, right? With that, let's move to Vidya Sagarji. Your initial comments, and especially around the entire government piece.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Yeah. So thank you, Jagran team, for this opportunity, and Jaspreet ji for this, this session, leading this session. So yeah, so when we talk about, there were a lot of sessions going on. I attended a few of them. So I think, about MSME, I think everybody would be aware now, what are the MSME challenges, classification and everything. So what I feel is that, in terms of this penetration of technology or adoption of technology, digital transformation in India, among the MSME sector is very, very low. And that's where the government role comes in to maybe facilitate, enable, to make this penetration level among the MSME little higher. I mean, we are there that, MSME, the adoption itself is not there. Forget about the which technology and, data privacy and data security. So the first one is, and most of you would be knowing, we have approximately 2 crore MSMEs registered on Udyam portal officially. Although as per the census, it's approximately 6.5 crore MSMEs in India. 2 crore are officially registered on Udyam portal. So out of that 2 crore, 97% are micro. And you have seen the definition of the micro, right? So whatever we are maybe discussing, our policy we are making, we have to keep this factor in mind that, at the bottom of the pyramid, this 97% people, how we are going to touch their life or their business, how we are going to impact. So which are the technologies or what are the policy which needs to be initiated? It should be very, very probably simple, basic, at least low-hanging fruits, for them at least, in the beginning. And then maybe we can go to the next level. So this would be, in the next probably round, I'll be touching few of the new initiatives which government have taken and is going to take. Some of the new scheme are going to be launched on this 22nd of November in Vigyan Bhavan. So that, we have been working very hard. So that also maybe I'll just share with you what's going to come. So if you are aware, then probably you can. So the biggest problem of the government scheme is that awareness is not there, right? So that is, I will try to do some kind of, awareness building session here today at this platform so that you can use them or you can suggest those awareness or inform among your circles and family and friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. What I liked about the fact is, and probably some key takeaways is, we can't even treat MSME as one complete sector, right? Because if there's a micro, which is a mom and pop shop with 2 people, a factory with 2 to 3 people, versus maybe a multi-crore company, right? The adoption of digital would mean different for different things, and hence our technology, our framework, everything would need to cater to both ends of the spectrum. Thank you very much, sir, for saying that. Avneet, your initial comments, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Avneet. We deal with consumer durable products, consumer electronics. And I would like to start with, there are 2 things right now. There was blessing in disguise, I think, for India that COVID happened in 2020. Whatever we were expecting, as sir said, in next 5 years actually happened in 2 years. Especially the transformation, the speed of transformation that India had gone through. We deal in smart TVs. Whatever expectations we had, 96% in India right now is selling smart TVs. And this was the projection about in 2024-25. The reason behind was that because of COVID, there was no local production that was happening. So all the daily soap, etc., out of slavers, as sir said. So people started shifting to OTT. And that's when the whole game started changing. And everybody was dependent on screen, either laptops, your monitors, or television. And suddenly, there was such a huge spike that there was shortage of semiconductors. Today, most of the companies, 70% of semiconductor companies have a stock of 18 months.
Wow.
So, you have to be balanced. We have learned digitalization doesn't mean that we go so aggressive that, first there was a shortage in supply chain. Again, there's advance in most of the product, what we are seeing right now, there is a huge advance in supply chain. So, secondly, coming back, I think this is the best chance India ever had. Whatever examples we see as from a developing to a developed economy, and we always take China as an example. The reason China got, from developing to developed country, one of the biggest reason was how their small enterprises have grown. And the next big challenge that India has, sir said that, you know, we are very long, still there are penetration of digitalization is not there. But 29% of the contribution in the GDP is from MSMEs. And one thing we lack right now is exports. We have a market of 1.4 billion people, but our actual market for most of the MSME goods are only 350 to 400 million people. So, you know, we have to go out of this country. We have to, I've taken China as an example. Digitalization, for example, Alibaba or all of these sites are not for China, it's for global. If you want to have 5 units, 2 units, 1 unit, globally they're doing that through their digitalization. So that's what India need, that kind of transformation. Government has supported them. Most of the companies in China, government has a share, everybody knows that. So, you know, these sort of policy driven and you need to promote, not in India, I think globally.
I think very radical thoughts, especially on the export, because then you're automatically increasing your market presence by 5-6x of what you have, or I would say the target segment, right, where you can provide goods and services, and that's a very I think it was early 2000s when China opened up its borders, right, and then we've seen what happened in the last 20 years, especially in the manufacturing sector, right. Pick up any product, there are Chinese products of that variety which are completely there in the market. And then even from a digital perspective, they had digital payments, though our UPI is probably 100 years ahead of what they could achieve, but the digital payments launched in early 2000s, when we were actually launching 2G phones and the phones were becoming more common in India. That's the digital transformation wave that they were looking for. Thanks for that. Mr. Sajai, your initial comments, please.
Hi, good afternoon. So, you know, taking forward from what everyone has said, you know, the way COVID has kind of moved the digitalization forward, and especially in the SME or the MSME segment. Irrespective of whichever segment, right, we come at the bottom of the supply chain. Insurance is one thing that comes last, whether it's for individuals or companies, and unfortunately, that's where we do business about. COVID has changed a lot in the way a normal customer thinks about their individual choices of insurance, and that's where the entire transformation has happened. But despite the kind of digital transformation that happened on the MSME segment or the business side of it, right, I don't think that much of change has happened in terms of being or taking coverage that is required to kind of take care of your business or your interruption plans and all of that. That's one area which we at least have seen. I think it'll take a lot more, because when you said COVID, I think COVID impacted a lot of individuals and their families and their health and life, right? While we've been telling over the last 15 years that insurance is one thing which can kind of, you know, at the end of the day, while some people say government has to do this, that, it is not really feasible for government to do everything, right? At the end of the day, the tax is going to come from your pocket only. Yeah. So while insurance is one thing that can help in ensuring that one family does not move from above poverty line to below poverty line, or I'm taking a relative example, don't go exactly by the words, on an individual stage. That's the same thing which can happen in business also. And I think COVID has shown that on the individual side, which has made that movement happen. But I think on the MSME or the business side, while large business houses understand it, I think on the MSME side, we're still looking for that. I would not expect, you know, that a COVID kind of incident happen and then people realize. But I think I think it's a transformation that is yet to happen there, and we're looking forward to it while we are kind of lining up solutions for it and whatever is required in that direction. And I think we'll also see that sometime soon.
Superb. But, you know, kudos to at least the sector. I think your sector's gone a radical change in the last 5 years, at least with whatever media coverage we see. Seems that buying insurance is just a click of a button away. So I'm pretty sure you've embraced digital at the forefront of it all. But while I was preparing, you know, for this, I also saw that only 8% of Indians have insurance. Maybe we will talk about that when we come back to you next. Sanjay, leading a company which is completely digital in nature, right? Your complete business model is because of digital. What are your initial thoughts?
Check. Thanks, Jaspreet. So while you said we're leading a company that is completely digital in nature, but the clients we deal with have the least amount of digital presence. So one good thing is we've been working with MSMEs, and I would specifically say it's micro and small shops. So when I talk about MSME here, I'm basically referring to the kirani ki dukaan or the shop in Karol Bagh or the salon or spa, anything that exists as an individual unit of business and not a chain or not a large business. And while we've been dealing with them, while we've been working with them, one thing I would say, I see them as a very important part of our economy. And the reason I say that is because they make us very robust. For example, there are two reasons. Number one is, so I was recently in Switzerland, and if you notice, when you go buy grocery, there are just two chains, right? There's Migros and there's Coop. Anywhere in Switzerland you go, you'll just find these two chains. And there's some small kirani ki dukan that are called tabaks there. Now, should something happen to Migros or Coop, it makes the whole half of Switzerland vulnerable, let's just say that. Contrary to that, in India, in the every next gully you will find a kiranika shop, right? Should one shop fail, it would just impact a small number of people, and eventually you will have another shop.
You would have 10 other options.
Exactly, right? So that's one, it really makes us robust and not make us fragile. And secondly, I think small and medium businesses really create opportunities of entrepreneurship, not just employment. So I come from a family of humble Marwari Banyas. So all of us have some kind of shop, some kind of small business everywhere. So when we think of startups, generally in our parlance today, we only think of businesses that are large, that are making billions, raising funds.
Yeah.
But I think my dad, my uncles, and everybody else, my mom, who started a small business and are sustaining it, are just as much entrepreneurs like anybody else. It's just that they're content with where they are and they just want to sustain it along with the family. So I want to represent them while we are having this discussion. And that's where we are. So we try, every time we think of a digital solution, and what I've seen is you can sit in boardroom, you can sit in your conference room, you can come up with the best digital product that you can come up with. The moment you go on the road, you meet business people, things change. Things significantly change, right? And that's where I think great amount of learning has come in as a digital company itself. So we'll bring up that about.
Thanks. And I'll probably, I don't know who said this, but I read a quote somewhere which echoes what you just said. Digital strategy is not for the CEO. It's for the last level of employee in an organization and the last customer that you deal with, right? He says more often than not, the digital strategy is written for the CEO, which should not be the case. I'll come back to you, Kriti. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. News everywhere around workspaces, right? Online, offline, in office, hybrid. Probably the first piece I would want you to answer is, how has hybrid evolved in the last 2 years? What's the meaning of hybrid, right? Whether 50% home, 50% online, what are the tools from a workspace perspective? And then probably second is, what are the small businesses then doing about this entire hybrid workspace?
That's a pretty loaded question, Jaspreet, but I'll try to do justice to the question. So the first part of it is that, how has hybrid evolved, right? What does hybrid really mean? So while, this term has been there ever since COVID and everybody is, almost sick and tired of hearing what hybrid is, everybody pretty much understands what hybrid means. Why did hybrid even come into the picture? Because pre-COVID, there was no concept of hybrid. There was just sick leave and there was time in office, right? So right now we are at a place where everybody has become very comfortable, and that kind of flexibility that employees are given is actually making a very positive impact in everybody's life. Like Jaspreet just mentioned that the digital strategy is not just about a CEO, it's about impacting the last level of your employees. So when we look at hybrid at Google and the way we have seen even the small businesses evolve, what hybrid essentially means to them is whether it is an information worker or it is a field worker, how are we giving them the right tools so that they have access to the right tool to do their job, number one. Number two, do they have the right data on their fingertips to be able to make the decisions that they have to make every day? This could be data collection, this could be data massaging, or this could simply be taking decisions based on the data that is provided to them. The third and very important aspect of this is, a lot of the times small businesses rely on last mile field workers to be able to do the last mile job, whether it is delivery or whether it is information collection or simply around a certain process, right? For these workers, it is very critical that they have information in the hands of their handsets. Not everybody in an MSME environment will have desktops or will have an office to go to be able to have that secure environment to work. So how do we make sure that we are giving them the right tools to not only be able to do their jobs, but whatever access is provided to them on their personal device should also come in with a layer of security. This is something that we have on and off discussed a lot with organizations in the last 3 years. And how hybrid hence is changing is that while there is still a lot of debate around whether hybrid is good for you or not, largely basis one of the research that we have recently done at Google with The Economist, the research spoke about how at least 72% of the CEOs still feel that hybrid is a better strategy, which gives an agility to the organization and helps the employees get a lot of flexibility around their work. And hence, the meaning of hybrid is different, whether it is a large enterprise or whether it is an MSME. But at the end of the day, it is about making a strategy which works for your organization. Because the challenges that a small business faces is very different from the challenges that a large enterprise faces. So what is the culture you want to drive, and what are your business goals? I think primarily these are the two things that determine what level of hybrid to work with.
Challenges and culture, right? And sorry, being in consulting for about 20 years, work from home never existed for us pre-22nd March. And after that, for about 6 months, we did not know what to do. So we ended up working 18 hours a day. And I think it was common for everybody because we knew that nobody's leaving home. And if you're not leaving home, you're at home, then you better as well as do some work for the company, right? And then other technologies helped us to contact people 24/7. But thank you for that. Really great insights. Let me come to you now, and couple of questions. Since we're talking about digital transformation, what are some of the technologies today that you think that will propel these MSMEs into the next wave of growth, right? So maybe few technologies that you would be very passionate about. And second, obviously, one thing is very easy to sit on the dice and say, everybody adopt AI, everybody adopt cloud, or use ChatGPT. What are the challenges that they would need to overcome to implement these technologies?
Yeah, thank you. I think, am I audible? Yeah, so very, very, very valid question, right? First is technologies, and we all know the buzzword around AI, cloud, security, and so on, right? But MSMEs have to adopt these technologies in the right way as well, right? So while Dell as a company would provide you XPS or Precision or desktops and laptops and so on, right? We also have to look at the wider ecosystem which is available with Dell Technologies, right? So when it comes to AI, we would have the right services in place to tell you whether AI is the good fit for you or not, right? So I think first is to understand the technology landscape, and everyone wants to be in Gen AI as of today, right? As was with cloud some time ago, right? And when we talk about hybrid workplace, and I think ma'am mentioned about it, in the end, we have to give this hybrid setup so that the transition is seamless. So I think Samriddhi touched on concept, right? A medical company, do they have that high-end devices at home to develop something which can help the greater cause, right? So that transition has to be seamless, and that is where, when it comes to the major technology factors, and as sir said, while we can use technology, where is the sustainability part of it? You heard about Gen AI or Chat GPTs of the world. Look at the sustainability factor. It is like going in negatives, right? To cool that devices, the powers, the cooling which is required is nowhere, right? So we also have to adopt to the technology which is sustainable, and MSMEs would be attracted towards open source. But are they secured? So security side of it, right? So for me, sustainability and security matters a lot. And that is where you would probably come to us. And have those consulting or workshop which would help you choose the technology which is more sustainable and secure. Now, the last question probably which would come in everyone's mind is, I am a company with 1 or 2 employees, whether I should reach out to Dell or not, please do reach out to us, right? There is a booth outside. We have advisors for this segment specifically, and even if you are a one-person company or a 100-person company, the advisors would guide you through this digital transformation journey. And that is where we want to assist the MSME landscape.
Thank you so much, Anay. I'm a security guy by heart, and I don't know how I've stumbled on sustainability, but 14-year-old son, I asked him to search something on Google. What does he do? He opens ChatGPT and starts searching it, right? Unfortunately, that's how technology, as you said, is evolving without even thinking whether it's the right technology and what's the effect it's having on sustainability. Just for everybody here, if you pick up, not this Sunday, the last Sunday's newspaper, there was an article on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT annually uses as much water to run ChatGPT as the entire country of Ireland in 1 year. That's the water consumption of one AI tool we're talking about. So, you know, all sustainability evangelists are looking at this space very, very clearly and very, very closely, right? But I think everybody wants to hear from you, Vidya Sagar sir, on what is the announcement on 22nd November that you just mentioned from a MSME perspective, and what is government doing to overcome whatever challenges are being faced by organizations today?
Yeah, sure. Just
Sorry for putting you in the spotlight.
No. Before telling about the that what is going to be announced on 22nd by the Honorable Minister, I would like to, as we said that, the problem with the government scheme is the awareness, right? So first I would like to, talk about some of the existing or recent initiative of the Government of India, MSME Ministry specifically, just because many of you may not be aware. So, and that will be, there are many schemes, but I'll be, only touching the scheme which is relevant to the topic. Digital technologies or digital transformation. So there are 2-3 things. When we, as I said, that 97% are micro, and the micro turnover, as per Government of India definition, is up to 5 crore turnover companies are micro, right? 50 crore is small, and up to 250 crore is medium, and above 250 crore is large. So this is the Government of India definition. So, and you rightly said that, any policy, government policy cannot be, one policy fits all. Because of the, obviously, even 5 lakh ki company is there is a micro, and 250 crore is medium. So, and there is a, many of you might be knowing that there is a new term called nano. Yeah. So these although we talk about MSME, but there is something called nano, and nanos are who maybe, the single person driven companies. And recently PM Vishwakarma scheme was launched by our ministry. Most of you would be aware. So maybe that would at least touch the lives of the nanos, which are primarily the traditional artisans. So, under 18 categories and all that. So we have been working on that. So that's there. So coming back to the topic. So when we talk about digitalization or digital transformation among MSMEs, I will broadly divide into 2-3 things, maybe 3 categories. One is, the adoption of the ICT technologies among the MSMEs, information and communication technologies, which we are talking about. That is one. Second is maybe adoption of e-commerce, because that's maybe same but relatively little different from the market access point of view. And third is about the skilling and training on these technologies, because of course they don't know, they are not aware. So then what is happening in all these 3 aspects is by the NSIC or the MSME Ministry is, first is ICT technologies adoption, right? So there is recently NSIC have launched a scheme called ICT facilitation for MSMEs. So what we noticed is that many of the MSME, even they do not have the basic ERP or CRM or even legitimate accounting software. Now after the compulsion of the GST and e-billing and all that, maybe they are being pushed into the formal sector and adoption, but as of now, many of them were managing their accounting on the Excel sheet, or somebody else was managing, or they were using maybe the pirated software. So everything happens, it's India. So that is one of the challenge. Low-hanging fruits, I would call them. So these basic things, to manage their day-to-day operation by adopting these technologies, basic one. Very, very basic. We have come up with the scheme, and what we are doing is we are partnering with the leading service providers. We have already started. We have impaneled some of the leading service providers so that we can offer these things through NSIC at a special price or a special offer, and there is a reliability factor, because as of now, if they want anything, they don't know, and there is always a fear among MSME, because they are not tech savvy, so there may be fear of exploitation, who is the right technology, where to go, and all that. So to overcome, because we are, for NSIC, we are more than 66, 67-year-old organization, there is some kind of credibility, some kind of touch base with the local industry association, MSMEs. So there is some comfort, and we are into running so many schemes of the commercial, the ministry, subsidies and nodal, schemes, promotional scheme. So there is a kind of touch, and lot of walk-ins, people keep coming. So what we thought that if we can become one-stop solution for all MSME needs, it will be easier for them. They don't have to run from pillar to post. And so that was the idea. So I initiated this. It took me a lot of time and launched the policy. So we have already impaneled, and we are looking for all kind of service providers, partners in this domain to join hands. Because government organization job is not to again recreate the ERP, waste years, and then that's not really relevant. There'll be bureaucracy. We all know, right? So the best is join hand with the leading service provider and help MSMEs or the sector. That will be more efficient, faster, and probably coming together, we will be able to do much better than working in silos. So that is one there. The second is adoption of e-commerce. So what is happening is, we all know, I was with Jabong, before joining NSIC. I was with Aditya Birla Retail. I was with TPG. So I have the corporate background. I have, I was with Leanfeng, its world's #1 consumer goods sourcing company. So I understand the business, MSMEs, their pain points. So e-commerce, we all have been reading, from last few years, that e-commerce business is growing in India like anything, and this is the, the festival sale, this is what happened. But when it comes to MSME share in that business, the reality is totally different. What is happening is that, all the business, maybe 80–90% of the business is, siphoned out by the just few big companies, and that too of those, platform companies, their own subsidiaries, sister concern. And ministry and government MD realizes this. From last 5 years, we have been struggling to find out a solution. We called all the leading service provider, all the top service provider in the ministry meeting, but they have their own ways and limitation, whatever. So what we did is that, so to overcome that solution, obviously many of you would be knowing the ONDC have come in. So ONDC is actually the brainchild of all those problems which we have been trying to solve, not to have the monopoly, duopoly kind of decision, give the right weight, due importance to the MSME, do not kind of put unnecessarily kind of pressure, or do not skew them in the sense of margin and all that. But that was not happening. So the open network for digital commerce, many of you would be knowing, have come in, and that's going to really transform the way e-commerce will be happening in India and globally. It's a very, very unique kind of initiative. First in the world in India, it's going to be the second UPI, right? So if you are already have not explored the ONDC as a MSME, I would highly encourage you to try out, join ONDC, this bandwagon. And so now, since this topic have come, so this on 22nd, new scheme of the Ministry of MSME is going to be announced, and that is related to this. Sure. So team scheme, trade enablement and marketing support scheme is to be launched on 22nd. So that will help MSME take benefit of this, ONDC, because again, how many of you are into some product manufacturing and, B2C, B2B? Maybe, can I ask?
Many.
Okay. So are you still there on ONDC? No. So that's why. So because there is a a kind of awareness gap, there is some kind of fear, we don't know where, exploitation, all that. So government is coming up with an initiative with financial assistance also. So that's the best part, to help MSMEs on board, take benefit of this new technology. ONDC, lot of awareness session and workshop are planned across India, including the onboarding, financial assistance for cataloging, for onboarding, including the account management.
Right.
Because that's the problem. You know, we have seen, I was in Jabong, so see people on board, but they do not do any business for many months. They are not able to do. They do not understand the platform, order processing, cataloging, promotion, what is the right keyword you should write in their description on all those things, right?
Sure. I think, sir, you've touched the entire universe of the problems that everybody is facing, right? You mentioned, I'll probably take 2-3 key takeaways. One is technology as a service, which is minimum baseline that everybody should have for the ease of doing business. The second, you said policy, procedures, and awareness. I think excellent key points, right? Avneet, 5 key points from a digital transformation perspective that all MSMEs should take care of. If you were to advise people, everybody sitting here, on what are the 5 key initiatives they should take?
I think starting from, if you have identified the product, firstly, how to backward integrate. That's, I'm talking about micro above small, okay? If you have identified the product, backward integration, if that's, you can assemble, manufacture, produce, whatever. Second, most important, that comes out to be the bomb, that you have to be very, very competitive, okay? How you'll be competitive through digitalization. Let me just complete. How you will be, firstly, the problem was that because digitalization was not very common, anybody who's in Patna, anybody who's in Guwahati, anybody who's in Bhopal will never used to get same price. Now, through digitalization, we have single price across. E-commerce, for example, then first MRP came and then discounts and et cetera, et cetera. Today we have one price in 19,000 pin codes. Okay, so price bomb that comes in. Third is how well you can sell through e-commerce. Okay, I have seen, I may differ from sir, from a small to medium, large, I think e-commerce has made us. Okay, and we were one of them who used to just produce about 50,000 odd smart TVs. Today we're producing more than 750K. And e-commerce was that time was about, 6%? Today it's 39%.
So technology has enabled you to do this.
Absolutely. Then comes out to be your quality. Through digitalization, through your capabilities, and let me, as sir said, that all this digitalizations, et cetera, comes at a very later stage. First, we have to correct our fundamentals. This country needs more of skilled labor than unskilled laborers. And that's where you have to, wherever, if you have 1 employee, 10 employees, 10,000 employees, it's how you skill your employees from day one. That will transform your product. Last, supply chain and after sales of that product. Very, very important. Through digitalization, if my SLA was 10 days, how to reduce it to 2 days.
Absolutely.
Okay, supply chain again, same. Delivery. How can I have through digitalization, how can I have small warehouses across the country, cut down the main warehouse, divide by 1/3, and then per square feet, how can we divide and do through digitalization, how can I reduce my SLA? So these are a couple of points that I have made. Now, just to add one more thing of AI, it's a very special thing. So when this AI whole chat GPT thing came in, so I thought I should start from my own name, that, what is the information, what's the background? And when I searched my name and the university I graduated, I showed to my dad, see, Dad, you don't know that I graduated from this university. You should be really proud. I was not graduated from that university, by the way. Until today, it's the same problem. So
Nice, nice. We have to treat it with caution also, right? On
Exactly.
what we, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think some excellent points, especially I like the point around you need to go back to your business to see what are the use cases where you will drive digital. And it will affect every single aspect of your organization, supply chain, etc. Before I come to you, Saja, I'll probably jump to Sanjay. And Sanjay, since you mentioned the Kiryana stores, etc., and Avneet spoke about skill development, awareness, literacy, how would you tackle or how are you facing this problem of digital transformation? Every single day you get up in the morning, there's a new technology that people are talking about. Somebody's, LLM 6 months ago for 99.9% of us on earth did not exist. And now ChatGPT is like a household name. Your thoughts on the entire awareness piece?
Well, for example, my uncle is a diamond trader in Surat. But if you ask him to book a ticket on IRCTC, he can't do it for the life of us.
We are friends now. Yeah.
So one of the biggest challenge, for example, we face as an organization as Just Style is the very first point that you mentioned, which is awareness, right? You can talk about why people don't adopt digital technology, why they don't understand it, etc., etc., etc. But the very first problem and the one that we try to solve in the initial phase is trying to help people understand the importance of internet. To give you just a very small example, our direct replica, for example, in the United States is Yelp, right? Now, if you go to Yelp, and you will see there are banks. So there are people posting reviews on banks, and banks are replying to it, right? Here, most people would not post a review for banks. And even if they do it, I suspect if there'll be a reply to that.
Yeah.
Second, in most cases, like for example, Google or Facebook, most of the products are self-served. So there's not a sales assistant who's helping you drive your campaigns, everything, unless you're a very big company on these platforms. Similarly, on Yelp, a significant chunk of the revenue comes through self-serve, where businesses directly choose their keywords, choose the demography they want to target, etc., etc., etc.
Just Dial wouldn't that be that easy?
Just Dial wouldn't be or would be easy, but it's extremely difficult for us to tell our customers, sir, you need to just do it yourself. Because every time we go first, we need to tell them, sir, why internet is important, why it is important for you to get reviews of your customers on the platform. Because today, every time somebody is looking for a business, the first place they go to is on the internet, right? And they look for a business. So if you appear there in any platform which is relevant for you, you will get those discoveries and businesses that you want to gain.
First name of recall.
Exactly. So the very first problem that we really try to solve is awareness there. Now, even if there is awareness, the second question that comes in is ability. I'll just give you a very recent example. I was on field with a sales executive, so we're trying to build a product, and I was with him trying to meet customers and see how the conversation goes. And he got a call from one of our customers, right? And he said, you got to come now and meet me. So our executive who visits customers and sells our product, we went from Andheri to Dahisar in Mumbai, which is like 15-20 kilometers. Right. It's a very important part of his day. And I thought maybe something went wrong. When we went in there, and he just warmly welcomed us and nothing chai bhai bulai. And फिर problem बताए, problem में थी उनको सिर्फ photo upload करनी थी अपने listing में. Now all you have to do is go into your listing, click on photo, upload it. But the customer didn't want to do it, and of course our executive was very nice and हाँ sir मैं कर देता हूँ. हम 5 मिनट का काम था वो.
So awareness plays such a key role.
Awareness,
and intent.
Exactly. So what I've seen is and it's not like people don't want to learn, because I have seen, again, as I said, Marwadi families, right? Most of my relatives are spread across South India. My dad can speak Kannada, my aunt can speak Tamil, they are in Chennai. जब business के लिए ज़रूरी होता है सब सीख लेते हैं. The thing is, right now, they don't see the importance of it, because the value that you gain takes certain time, right? Yeah. And you don't get it immediately.
How you can go from X to 10X.
Exactly.
With that. With that, I'll come to you. Just 1 minute, I'll come to you. With that, I'll come to you, Saja. Selling insurance products on digital, why is the uptake not happening? What are the challenges you are seeing, right? Sanjay mentioned some of the challenges. What are you seeing in your industry?
So I think when I said uptake, we've seen a very, very rapid uptake as the e-commerce progressed, where Indians, over a period of time, the individuals started buying things more and more often online. They got comfortable with paying online. They became comfortable with entering their credit card details, bank details online. And that's where, as I said, right, insurance comes at the bottom of the pyramid for everyone or at the end of the supply chain. Just to take an example, not really related to business, but even for an individual, you don't really wake up dreaming, today I'm going to go to this website and buy health insurance. Or today I'm going to wake up and, I'm going to buy term insurance. Although, it's important, right? It takes a lot, like, you're going on the road and you've seen someone pass away. Or you come to office and someone says, my aunt got hospitalized and she does not have insurance and the bill came to 50 lakhs. That's what changes. And that's where COVID changed for individuals and the heavy uptake has come in. Now, when we speak about MSMEs or SMEs as such, see, corporates, large corporates, over a period of time, I think they've learned from the risks that have happened with them. See, you see a 10 crore shipment going bad, which means you need to have marine insurance or transit insurance in place. Or you've seen your factory go down with some kind of fire or floods, which means you've taken a loss of about, say, 100 crores on the facility, under 50 crores on business interruption, which is a 150 crore loss. Now, you cannot just take it, right? So today, large corporations have actually people who are sitting on their payroll who also take care of their entire insurance portfolio. Yeah. But when it comes to SMEs and MSMEs, I think one, obviously, there's always a lack of, or how do you spend that last penny wisely? Obviously, that thought is there. Having said that, there is a lack of, I think, push or education also that happens in terms of, like, or the fundamental thing which I said about, what happened on the e-commerce side, which led to individuals change, or the COVID thing, which led individuals to change. I think that level of, obviously, that kind of event has never happened on the MSME side. And that's one of the probably things, hence, we're still not seeing on the MSME side. But having said that, there's a lot of impact or there's a lot of movement that's happening on the product side and, on the propositions that are being developed, especially from some of the government segments, right? I think there's a scheme that's being run in Kerala by the government, on Maharashtra by the government for especially shop owners or small kind of MSME outlets or segments kind of. So some of these are still yet to happen. And I think from government side also, what we would expect is rather than spending that money or taxpayer money in terms of by giving out, in the form of whatever you call it, whenever an incident happens, you should kind of, I think it should happen that it should be proactive or the messaging should go in terms of buying the insurance so that you don't spend that much of money, right? Probably you spend about 1/10 of the money in ensuring that people take insurance of their own and then they become self-sustainable, or you call it Atmanirbhar. Yeah? So that's how it is.
So again, goes back to awareness. Yeah, Shudkirti, you were...
I just want to play off of what Saja and Sanjay both mentioned. I think extremely interesting points. So I think I want to play off of what you said, Sanjay, where you were speaking about a simple image upload and how a business is facing issue with that. There is AI that can significantly play a role in that case. And of course, that will come with a lot of awareness, a lot of education, because AI and MSMEs are very, very far off. Like Sir also mentioned, we have a long way to go, right? So it's not exactly fair. But it's like a point in history where at least we are building off of these models. And like Jaspreet mentioned that, a year ago, LLM would have been somebody only a data scientist or a code engineer would have known. Today, all of us at least know that word, right? We understand what it means, even if we don't know in depth what an LLM can do. However, what we are seeing very interestingly, even in the SMB and MSME business, is that how do you take these models and take it and transform these models in such a way so that it becomes, like you said, technology as a service. So there are small businesses, and I can call out one of the women-founded startups called Mad Street Den. They are a woman-led business, and she's building off these models, which can help small mom-and-pop stores to actually upload images and make sure that only through image recognition models, you can categorize and classify that product, which is going to, in the future, make it very, very easy for even small retail owners. And she's just starting off with retail. But in the future, that's the beauty of AI. It can encompass literally any industry, because once you have an algorithm and a model in place, you can duplicate it, apply it to insurance, apply it to manufacturing, or any other industry for that matter. So this is something that we are seeing this increasingly in our organization. The other thing I want to mention, something very interesting that you mentioned, Sajay, is that there has to be a trigger point. For example, in insurance, sometimes, there has to be, either a necessarily negative trigger point, which is extremely sad, but that's the reality of the insurance business. What we are seeing in the MSME space is that continuity of business and ensuring that continuity of business is maintained is a very important trigger point for folks to even look at infrastructure from a technology lens, right? When we speak about continuity of business, what I essentially mean is your systems, your processes, and your data. Are they going to be persistently and continuously available to you and to your employees to make sure that you are making those decisions that you need to make on a day-to-day basis? And this is where the whole cloud story comes in. We are very far from 20 years ago where we saw data used to be either kept manually or in paper-based or files and maybe local servers, which is still the case for a lot of MSMEs. But going forward, what we are seeing that even in the SMB space, there is huge cloud adoption, which means that the availability of infrastructure and availability of data becomes a very critical point for them to just continue their business.
I think excellent points, but on whatever you said, especially with the women entrepreneurs example that you gave, I think all of this just aids the ease of doing business. I think if we use this well, our ranking would probably go up right through the roof when we, from an ease of doing business perspective globally. With this, I think, I've been already pestered twice to stop this, but I would want to start with you, Anay. Just last one conclusion, one line on what do you think will next 5 years look like? And then, sir, I'll probably come to each one of you. Just one last line.
I think I think we are into the data decade anyways, right? So while the data is evolving, we can't escape from digitalization, right? I mean, my mom is doing a video call. I would have never imagined this before, right? So
Agree. It's
ultimately,
touching all
the
aspects of our
internet,
life.
you can't go away from internet. You have to come to internet. You have to be aware about it. And that is where awareness is important because you have to use it with the security features bundled in. You have to make sure that you use it wisely, right? Because while you have to use the internet, technology should not be an afterthought. You should think about it with your product itself so that you can multiply in next 5 years is what I would say.
If technology is an afterthought, then the business is also an afterthought.
Absolutely.
Today. Absolutely. Vidya, sir.
Yeah, so I would just like to, request with all of you is that stay informed. There are a lot of things happening. There are a lot of facilities, benefits available, but probably information gap is there. So I would, because we, at NSIC, we have the training center on all these latest technology, including AI, AR, VR, 3D printing, robotics, all Industry 4 components. And we are training, some of the renowned engineering colleges of India, professors we are training on IoT and all those things. So those facilities are available to all MSMEs also. So I would request that, please visit our website, please visit our, facility in the Okhla, and you will be amazed to see what kind of work is being done, what are the facilities available to you. Government is offering 75% subsidy for increasing adoption of e-commerce. But people are not, aware, they are not using. So just stay informed, visit, some of the relevant portal, champions.gov.in of the MSME Ministry, nsic.co.in, and then I think you will be able to, take a lot of benefits and, grow your business. Thank you.
Right. Like I tell a lot of my friends who are visiting India for the first time, India is not 500 companies. India is 2 lakh companies, right? And an innovation is at every house. Avneet, your closing comments.
I think we need a marriage of tradition and Gen Z. We need that for next 5 years. It's very important if you want to go the digital way. It's very important to break that tradition. And things are improving. And Gen Z and millennials and alpha now, how to retain their patience with experience. Very, very important. I think I see a lack over there. And if that marriage goes well, nobody can stop India.
Yeah. The only comment there is, I think our pace is decent, but maybe that can be propelled by using some kind of nitro there. Right?
That's what I'm saying, that we have to come out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to come out of the comfort zone. 70 hours, 90 hours, 100 hours, so on.
We can have a personal discussion later on that 70 hours thing. Sajay, your closing comments, please.
So, as I think as the MSME sector moves ahead on adopting technology more and more, I think we're also very well looking forward to it. As I said, as you, as leaders of the industry or the people who kind of push them towards it, we are always prepared, and we are the ones who are on the other side, who are kind of able to or have the ability today for all the MSMEs to be able to get such kind of covers or facilities in insurance, which otherwise were kind of only there for large corporates and were not available or were not made available in such a competitive way, which whether it's pricing, whether it's in terms of features of products, whether it's a products for your employees, or whether it's about products for industries kind of a thing. And the kind of savings that you could get from comparing, which otherwise kind of would have been sold at say 2x the cost or 3x the cost kind of, and we look forward to that kind of adoption on insurance and being able to kind of take care of the risk as you adopt technology, and as you adopt rest of the things. There's also risk that starts to come in whether it's about you kind of moving across 10 stores across the country instead of one store, and you being there and being able to sort it out versus not being there, or similar kind of thing with respect to other risks that are associated with it.
I think excellent uptake of insurance, not only MSMEs, not only because of DT. I think as a society, we could do much, much better on that. And I think awareness would play a very, very key role. Thank you for that. Sanjay, last but not the least, your closing comments.
Thanks, Jaspreet. I'll just share a learning that I've had in the last couple of years. So I've been working for 7 years, and one thing that I've seen is in terms of when you talk about strategy, be it digital strategy or any kind of strategy is great on paper and decks, but the moment you hit the field, you realize a lot of things don't stand. So one thing I realized, and I've worked on quite a few projects that have tanked and some projects that did well, and one of the significant difference in the way we do it differently now is before you start building something, go down and actually speak to that salon person or speak to the kirana wala shop or speak to the jewelry store. A lot of times you'll understand that you may be extremely excited about building a solution for a problem that does not exist. So speaking to the customers, speaking to the MSMEs, and actually understanding will give us more insight and maybe help us optimize for our cost and time than perhaps directly building products. So that's been my learning, and that is what I would want to end with.
Excellent. Just 2 points there. One is being connected to the end customer for whom we are building, right? It should not be that we are in our mind building a rocket and actually he wants a car, right? And the second piece on strategy, any forces, people here, I read this quote, which is very famous in forces. It says that all strategies go for a toss when the first bullet is fired. Please give a huge round of applause for all my panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you.